All right, it is time to begin, so let's do that. We've got the gong seal of approval from those in the audience, so welcome to the Spirit of Life service for, Tuesday, March 10th, 2015. My name is Dr. Doug Kelley. It's good to have everyone with us tonight. And we've got some changes coming up here that we're going to announce. To just get us started, Spirit of Life is a weekly service and educational program of the International Church of Metaphysical Humanism. Our mission is to explore and empower the human spirit as well as to explore science and spirituality. And in addition to this weekly service, we also have a number of other educational programs. They include empoweredrecovery.com for the friends and family of alcoholics and addicts, Paranexus.org, which is an association of anomalous researchers, MetaphysicSinstitute.org, where you can get your bachelor's, master's, and doctoral degrees in metaphysics in a variety of specializations, and ICHSWorld.org, which offers standalone courses in metaphysical topics. So that's a quick rundown. Now tonight, we're going to, as far as this program goes, we're going to pick up on part 2 of 10 Principles of Empowered Relationships. We talked about part 1 last week. And Dr. Hunter won't be with us tonight because she's attending a charity event. But for our Exploring the Unknown segment, staff speaker Dr. Brian Parsons will be with us, and he will be talking about Introduction to Parapsychology. And I know last week, if you've been following, I introduced a different topic for tonight, but I was mistaken. That's actually coming up next week, and I'll mention that in a little bit here. All right, so a couple of the changes to our format. We're trying to adapt as we go and make this inviting and attractive for people to attend. So we're going to change it up just a little bit. Typically, we're going to start out with a welcome like I've just done, and then I'm going to take about 15 minutes and present my topic for the evening. And then we're going to have a second topic, which will either be handled by Dr. Vicki Hunter or a guest speaker. And then somewhere around the top of the hour, a few minutes afterward, we're going to introduce a new segment called Enspirit Open Forum. And Enspirit is spelled with an E. You know, it's in spirit. It's a time to connect, and it's a time to share. As part of that Enspirit Open Forum, we will do the soul light guided meditation for the first just 2 or 3 or 4 minutes. And then we'll segue right into that. And what we're going to do as part of this Enspirit Open Forum is give the audience an opportunity to share what's on their mind, messages. If you had an impression you want to share it, you can do that. We're also going to do inner oracle card readings for those in the audience as well as those in the broadcast audience. So if you'd like a quick inner oracle card reading, when we get to that point, you can simply type your name in the chat room and say you want one, and we'll do one. And I'll explain more about the spreads when we get to that point. There's also another little new thing we're going to do, and I didn't bring it with me, so I'm going to get it. Excuse me. I meant to grab this on the way up. We're going to grab or take a card at random from the Inner Oracle deck to use as a theme for the evening. So tonight it's card number 11. It's in the existential suit, and the card face is awareness. And so think about awareness as our theme for the evening. Greater awareness is obviously what we're shooting for in these presentations and in these services. So that will be our card theme for tonight. We'll do that every week. All right. Let's go ahead and we'll get into the first topic for tonight, which is 10 Principles of Empowered Relationships, Part 2. Now, last week I went over the first 5 parts of that, the principles, and they are: know and accept yourself was 1. Know and accept the other person, 2. And then 3, don't try to change, control, or manipulate others. 4, don't do for others that which they could and should do for themselves. And 5, communicate and collaborate. So if you had missed any of that, you're welcome to go back into our archives and view that presentation from last week. Number 6 on our list to begin the last 5 of those 10 principles. The number 6 is show mutual honor and respect as equals. And I should just remind everyone listening that these 10 principles of empowered relationships work. They're powerful, they've been proven, and so it's something to really pay attention to. Show mutual honor and respect as equals. This ties in with our number 4 principle of belief, which is we embrace the differences that make all human beings unique, recognize that we all come from star material and are equal. They're irrespective of heritage, beliefs, gender, or gender preference. One planet, one race, one ancestry, one destiny. And so mutual honor and respect. Healthy relationships are based on mutual respect, honor, and dignity. And this means respecting boundaries as well. We have to respect other people's boundaries. We don't want to walk on them. We don't want to encroach on those boundaries or push them. It's good to think of boundaries as a personal equity, a sacred personal equity. If you think about the word equity, it's something you possess. It's a thing. And a boundary is a sacred personal equity. And so we have to respect those from other people. And we have to ensure that our own are not walked on too. We don't want to violate boundaries. Honoring the other person also means to be open to their viewpoints and their ideas, their points of view, perspectives. Give them a fair and honest hearing. You don't have to agree with everything. There's no law that says you got to agree with what everybody says. You don't have to. And you shouldn't expect other people to agree with you on everything either. They may not. Motivational speaker Wayne Dyer put it well. He said, problems in relationships occur because each person is concentrating on what is missing in the other person. That's well put. Focus on the gifts the other person brings to the table. Don't focus on what's missing. Focus on what they bring to the table. Showing honor also means not to gloat when you're right, nor sulk when you're wrong, or you don't get your own way. Life is about give and take, and close relationships are. We listen without interruption. We don't hold grudges. Those are all ways of honoring the other person. And here's another big way of honoring the other person, giving them healthy validation. You've heard me talk about them esteem, which is external expectations and external validation. In other words, I only feel good about myself when I'm doing what other people think I should be doing. And that's in contrast to self-esteem, which is internal, inside expectations and validation. I have my own expectations and I validate myself. When we talk about giving healthy validation, that's another way of saying encouragement, a pat on the back. We all like that. It helps and it's encouraging. So be aware of that. Give a little healthy validation. If somebody's done a good job, tell them they've done a good job. If you respect something they've done, let them know. Give them a pat on the back, a good word, because as I've said before, one of the biggest things missing in most people's lives is just the gift of an encouraging word. It's a gift. Bestow that gift. Exude positive energy. Be upbeat. All right, so that was number 6. And again, number 6 was show mutual honor and respect as equals. Number 7, evolve while maintaining your individual identity. A common aspect of abusive relationships is that when one person assumes the identity of the other. If you think about that for a minute, in abusive relationships, you've got one dominant person, the abuser, the aggressor, and then you've got the other person who essentially assumes the identity of the aggressor. This can also happen in non-abusive relationships where one person essentially assumes the identity of the other, but there's no abuse involved. What causes that is the failure to have your own identity, to the failure to know who you are and why you are who you are. So we have to have our own identity. It's unhealthy when both parties don't have their own unique identity and personality. It's healthy for a relationship to have two people who get along and who harmonize, their energy signatures mesh. They have a lot in common, but yet they still have their own separate identity. It's kind of like growing together while growing separately. We have to have our own identity because we have our own walk, we have our own path. So we have to remember to have our own identity. Neither of you should, quote, live solely for the other person. Author and founder of Objectivism, it's a hard word, Objectivism, Ayn Rand, emphasized this when she wrote, "I swear by my life and by my love of it that I will never live for the sake of another man, nor ask another man to live for mine." So we don't live for the other's sake. It's not our whole point in life. They're part of it. So we have to evolve together while maintaining our own identity. And one last point under this principle, honor the other person's alone time. Give them their space as needed. There's nothing wrong with being alone. There's nothing wrong with having your own space at times. Sometimes we just need our own space. We need to go do our own thing. And we have to recognize the health in that and also allow it, not get hurt when, well, they don't want to do anything with me. Give them their own private time. All right, so number 8, hold true to your commitments and never betray another's trust. Trust is an absolutely critical aspect of any relationship. In fact, trust is one of the 2 most important qualities of any relationship, in my opinion, and the other one is communication. Lack of communication will kill any relationship. Same is true with trust. A lack of trust will kill any relationship. When 2 people enter into a relationship, a bond of trust forms, and it grows, or should. Both parties learn to rely on each other and their commitments, and that's how the trust is built. We have to be careful to never betray that trust, because it's like words. We've all heard that before, that be careful of what you say, because once you said it, you can't take it back. You can't unring that bell. You can't unding that gong, right? Trust is the same way. If you break it, it's broken. Now, there are various degrees or levels of trust being broken. Some are very serious, some are not so serious. However, lots and lots of little, small betrayals of trust equate to a big one, and it can kill the relationship. And I'm going to repeat this one more time. Never betray another's trust, because once you do, the relationship that you had is over, period. No further discussion, it's over. Doesn't mean that the relationship can't be reconciled or fixed, but it will never be the same relationship that you once had. I hear these marriage counselors and psychologists, oh, you know, somebody cheated on the other, and so they're trying to reconcile, they're trying to work it out. It's like, really? You know, that's a tough call. That's a tough one. And no self-respecting person is going to deal with that. They're just not. And so, can you mend a broken marriage where infidelity is involved? And we're all assuming that it's not an open marriage, by the way. Well, I don't think you can. Maybe some people can, whatever flips their switch. But don't automatically think that that can be done, because when you have a betrayal of trust like that, it's pretty serious. It's like a broken vase or some figurine that is made out of glass, and you drops and you break it, and you could glue it back together, but you'll still see the cracks. Plus, there'll always be that question in the back of their mind. They did it once, will they do it again? And you can't get rid of that. All right, so one last point. Trust is not a gray area. You either have it or you don't. So be careful with that. If you break somebody's trust or somebody's broken your trust, then suspicion rules, right? Like I just said, you'll always be wondering, they did it once, will they do it again? My wife once made a comment that I wrote down. She said, when the only thing left in a relationship is suspicion, the relationship is over. And that's from somebody who's very healthy in their relationship skills. Okay, number 9, keep the relationship alive. all relationships require a certain degree of nurturing. You got to work at them. You got to, invest in the relationship, as it were. The closer the relationship, the more time you need to nurture it and invest in it. The more closely aligned that your energy signatures are in a healthy manner, the less, quote, work, unquote, it takes to make the relationship thrive, because both of you are just doing what you do naturally. And that's the value in when you're going to have an intimate relationship, you find your best friend and you get into a relationship, so to speak. Because if you're very much alike, then what you do normally just meshes, it blends. And it takes all the, quote, work. Does that mean you can just let it go then? No, you got to work together. You got to keep the relationship alive in various ways. You don't want to end up taking the other one for granted. And you don't want to be taken for granted. And here's some ways that we can invest in the relationship to kind of put some life into it or keep it alive. And I'll just rattle these off. Spend some uninterrupted quality time together. Have a regular date night. Take mini vacations together, maybe just for the day. Spend time pursuing a common interest. Give each other birthday cards, anniversary cards, or special occasion cards. Look for ways to do an unexpected nice for the other person. Surprise the other person with a gift, maybe something they've been wanting. Take walks together, hold hands, give the other a smile, steal a hug or a kiss. And of course, that's with intimate relationships. Some of these apply more to those than others. Lay out under the stars and reminisce about the early days of your relationship or special times you had together. Say thank you, please, and I'm sorry often and as appropriate. Pay compliments generously as appropriate with things like you look nice or supper was great or whatever it is. You did an outstanding job on that. Thank you for doing that. And just be best friends. So number 9 was keep the relationship alive. Number 10, settle only for win-win. This is something a lot of people would do well to consider. They don't settle for win-win in relationships. It's often I lose, you win, or in some cases I win, you lose, but it's not win-win as often as it should be. We can't settle to be the loser in a relationship. Nobody can. There should be no loser in a relationship. All of these principles have to do with the life leadership paragon: self-acceptance, self-responsibility, respect for free will, and self-completeness. They all follow the life leadership paragon exactly. And if you just apply those elements of the life leadership paragon, you'll cover these different areas. They can't be lopsided. Mark Twain underscored this point when he once wrote, "Never allow someone to be your priority while allowing yourself to be their option." I thought that was a great quote. It has to be equal. So the bottom line of this last point here, settle only for win-win, is that don't settle for unhealthy relationships in your life, because sooner or later you're going to leave it. Sooner or later, when the pain of remaining becomes more than the pain of leaving, you'll leave. Don't stay in an unhealthy relationship. Only settle for win-win relationships that are healthy and empowering. Remember, since your relationships are a reflection of your inner world, they will only be healthy to the extent that you value yourself, that you are healthy inside. Because don't forget, we talked about energy signatures before. If we have a healthy energy signature, a vibe that we give off, we're going to be more apt to attract those other people with healthy energy signatures and repel those who don't have healthy energy signatures. Remember, like attracts like, not the other way around. All right, so that is the 10 elements of empowered relationships. I hope that you found some value in these different points. They've worked for me for years, and they've worked beautifully. So review the archive on this if you want to get all of them together. On the next segment, we're going to turn our attention to Dr. Brian D. Parsons, Reverend Dr. Brian D. Parsons. He began researching ghosts and parapsychology in late 1996 and formed the Ohio Paranormal Investigation Network in early 1997. Dr. Parsons has published 5 books to date, 3 on paranormal investigation and team basics, 1 on his unique E4 method of client-based investigations, and his latest effort, Handbook for the Amateur Cryptozoologist. You may recall a few weeks ago he did a presentation on Introduction to Cryptozoology. Dr. Parsons received his PhD from the Institute of Metaphysical Humanistic Science in 2013. He is an ICMH Church staff member and serves as the Executive Director of Paranexus Anomalous Research Association, an educational program of ICMHS Church. And for more information about Dr. Parsons, please visit his website, briandparsons.com, and you can also obtain his books there. So tonight, Dr. Parsons will present Introduction to Parapsychology. Dr. Brian, welcome.
Thank you. It's great to be back in Florida. I still have some snow up here, but it's actually been above 50 degrees for the first time in 4 months, so I'm really excited about that. So parapsychology. What is parapsychology? Not sure if we're past the intro slide or not here. But parapsychology is the scientific study of psychic phenomena. Simple enough, right? Well, what is psychic phenomena, and when did parapsychology come into existence? Well, obviously every culture that we've known about throughout history has some sort of belief in life after death or some sort of afterlife. Usually they're terrified of that, but starting in the mid-1800s, about 1848 is the birth date of spiritualism. The spiritualism era embraced the afterlife as well as the ability to communicate with those who have crossed over or departed, or whatever the term you want to use. Now, spiritualism essentially was fraught with hoaxes and a lot of other issues and problems that went along with that. And psychical research came about 1882. The Society for Psychical Research was formed in Cambridge, England. 3 years later, the American branch, the American Society for Psychical Research, was formed in Boston, Massachusetts, and then moved to New York City, where it's at right now. Now, psychical research focused on looking at these as a qualitative study, basically an observation of what's going on with these individual cases, as well as what psychics and mediums were doing during their presentations, more or less. So not really embracing science too much. They did attempt to use science, but it was very, very limited. We fast forward now to 1911. Stanford University embraced science and began to use what psychical research had early created by collection of case study information and by individual reports of sightings of ghosts or psychic phenomena. And they started to crunch that data and started to look at how they could get more information out of that data. And after that, Duke University, William McDougall, Carl Zener, and a man named Joseph Banks Rhine, among other people, came together to really use science to explain parapsychology. Joseph Banks Rhine popularized the term parapsychology in 1937 in his book, New Frontiers of the Mind. And the term itself actually came from a man named Max Dessoir in the late 1880s. And the difference between parapsychology and psychical research is that psychical research, again, used qualitative study. It used observation, where now parapsychology is embracing science. It's using experimental science, quantitative research. It's using statistics to find the answers of what we're looking at. Okay, next slide. Parapsychology, the big three. Parapsychology is simply 3 distinct things. First, ESP, extrasensory perception. ESP is essentially a receptive psychic. You're getting information from the environment around you. It's provided to you somehow, some way through your normal senses, or beyond your normal senses, more or less. Also known as telepathy. And telepathy isn't me sitting here and looking at somebody and going, I know what you're thinking. It's more or less a willing transference of information. It's not pulling information from somebody's mind unknowns to them. Next thing here, clairvoyance. It's French for clear vision. This is receiving information from objects or events without the use of normal senses or without putting clues together from different things. And you see there's a list of clairs, Claire's family, claircognizance, which is knowing information without a logical explanation for why you know it, clairaudience, which is sound information gathered from unknown sources, clairsentience, which is physical sensations, clairalience or clairessence, which is accessing information through smell, and clairgustance, which is a really rare thing here, is the ability to gather information from taste without food or other objects in the mouth. We have psychometry. Psychometry is the ability to read the history of an object or location. This could also be, it could be utilized for another explanation for hauntings, what hauntings are. And we'll cover hauntings in a minute. Then we also have pre- and retrocognition. Precognition is receiving information about objects or events that occur in the future. Retrocognition is receiving information about objects or events that occurred in the past, again, without logical means. Retrocognition could also be another explanation for hauntings or psychometry. Testing with that would be used by Zener cards. And you see the Zener cards there on the right. It's 5 little cards: the circle, the star, the square, the cross, and the 3 wavy lines. Now, those were used after the use of regular playing cards. They actually started out using those and graduated to a specific deck of cards. It's 5 cards. There's 5 of each face for 25 cards in a deck. And to test somebody, they would go through many what they called runs. So they would go through each thing of 25 cards a number of times, and then would crunch that data and look at, they would have a bell curve, so you would know this is the range. And this is where normal people should be. And you would have people that had well above or well below that. And those are the people that was the focus of those tests. Next slide. Next slide here we have psychokinesis, or expressive psychic. This is expressive since there is an exertion of some unseen force onto objects without noticeable or measurable physical means. Now, this could be at a macro scale, which is a large thing. You would actually see objects move, or a spoon bend, or something like that, or a micro scale, where tiny things such as computer information is slowly altered over time. Telekinesis is the ability to move objects from a distance without normal means. Well, it's the same thing as psychokinesis. So a lot of parapsychologists don't use the term telekinesis. It's the same thing, more or less. But the strange thing about parapsychology is parapsychologists don't agree on the terminology at all. It's the major part of that is because there is no leading hypotheses for any of this stuff, whether it's as a whole or each individual piece. There's not really a whole lot of information other than really what was gathered early on in the 1940s and 50s and 60s. And we're still going over that information little by little. Teleportation. Yeah, think Star Trek here. This is the movement of an object without it visually having traveled the distance. So it's here. The next thing you know, it's here. You don't see it zoom off. In Star Trek, you know, it's a teleporter. People little fizzle out and then they appear on the planet or back on the ship, whatever. Psychic healing and psychic surgery. Now, this is the means of healing oneself or somebody else with the mind, not surgical tools or anything else. And then we have poltergeist, that little angry ghost down there. Unfortunately, this term is probably one of the most misunderstood. The data and information has pointed toward a living person, believe it or not, as the cause of the poltergeist activity. And this is related to a stressful situation and the person unable to deal with that stress in a meaningful way. So the poltergeist activity, which is movement of objects, strange sounds, some really scary stuff, not quite like the movies, but those things are attributed to human stress. And how would you test for that? Testing psychokinesis is done by random number generators or even the fall of dice, again, over time. Next slide, please. Survival of bodily death. This is the big one. This is the one that everybody talks about. This is what made parapsychology famous from Ghostbusters in 1984 to the current trend of people who are carrying on the spiritualism era by believing in ghosts and going out and trying to attempt to communicate with them. Now, I use simple definitions. I don't use intelligent hauntings and communicative apparitions and intelligent apparitions. I don't use all that. To me, it's confusing. I used simple definitions. Apparition is essentially what is seen, heard, felt, or smelled and related to some part of the human personality or mind that can somehow exist in our physical universe after the death of the body. It's a mouthful, but essentially it's somehow, some way, a part of a person's personality is still here. And again, it's not just what we see. It's not a physical entity. Many people hear the word apparition and they instantly think of a floating person. But it can be that visual. It can also be noises, physical sensations, or even emotions attributed to that. And the key component to this is two important things. One is intelligence. A true apparition would have some sort of intelligence behind it. And the second thing would be communication. The apparition would be displaying an obvious attempt to communicate with the people that it's involved with. So those two things are very, very important. And then you have haunting. Haunting, everybody knows this one. This is residual activity referring to a location or even an object. No communication or direct relationship with the living. And you may wonder what that knight is doing there on the screen. Well, if you go into a courtyard, in, let's say, England, obviously, and you see a knight walking through the courtyard, if it's an apparition, it will stop and say, "Wow, you're dressed really, really horribly," or say something to you and tell you to get out of its way and continue on its way. If it's a haunting, it'll just continue to walk right through you as if it doesn't even know you're there. Simple explanation. Other things that can kind of get lumped into the survival hypotheses. Shared death experience. This is when a living person experiences another's death or dying experience and is actually able to sense that person's that death process. We also have crisis apparition, which is kind of similar. This is observing or interacting with somebody who is about to or is going through or has just gone through the death or dying process. And it's usually somebody who's very close to them, a loved one, and it's basically their way of just saying goodbye. NDE, near-death experience, a person experiences things that make them assume that they're dying or going through the dying process, or actually going through the dying process, I should say. Out-of-body experience, OBE. This is where a person feels that they've left their physical body. Then you have deathbed visions, where a dying person receives a visit from a deceased family member. That's pretty much it. That's the big three, ESP, PK, and survival hypotheses, all put into one in less than 15 minutes. I'm amazed that I could do that. There's a lot of information about this, and if you want to continue to learn about any aspect of cyclical research especially, there's an extremely good book called Ghost Hunters, William James and the Search for Scientific Proof of Life After Death. Extremely, extremely good book about the birth of cyclical research up to just the shadows of parapsychology. And if you want to learn more about parapsychology, other than the books that I've written, I would highly recommend Lloyd Auerbach. One of his current books, Ghost Hunting, How to Investigate the Paranormal, has a lot of good information about parapsychology in it as well. And I want to thank you again for having me here. It's great to be in Florida once again, and hopefully I'll be back if Dr. Doug will have me. Thank you.
Brian, thank you. You're funny. It's good to have you in Florida, too. Now if you could just bring the rest of your body here, that'd be awesome.
True.
Great topics. We'll see you back again sometime soon. All right. Good points. Any questions from anyone? We have a question. Let me get you the mic.
When you were talking about Claire's sisters, the last one, Claire Gutens?
Claire Gustance, yes.
I have a question. When people speak to me, deceased people speak to me, and they'll tell me stories. I was with a woman once, and I knew that after she passed, and it was her deceased husband talking to me, that they made cookies. And he said they were butter cookies. And I asked her that, and then I sat there, and then all of a sudden, I felt like I had a mouthful of raisins. Is that what that is? And then I said,
Absolutely.
okay, and because then I said to her, "Did you put raisins in them?" And she said, "How did you know?" And I said, "Because all of a sudden, I had a mouthful of raisins that I could taste." So I had never heard of that term before. So thank you for clarifying.
Oh, good. I'm glad you learned something. That's what I'm here for. And yes, it's a lesser known phenomena occurring in the what I call the Claire family.
It also happened another time when I was being spoken to by a gentleman that died, and he had a glass in his hand of something he always drank. And when I said to the woman it was iced tea, she said, "How do you know?" Because I had a mouthful of iced tea at that moment. So it's interesting to finally have a name placed to that Claire part that I never heard of before. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you.
Thanks, Brian. Appreciate all
Thank
that.
you.
There's a lot of Claires out there. Okay, so in just a moment, we're going to do our new Enspirit open forum. Go through some quick announcements first. Just want to remind those who are registered at ICMH Church, which is metaphysicalhumanism.org, or any of our educational programs, you can join the One Planet community. It is a private social Facebook-like network that you can be a part of. Bear in mind that there are two websites. You have to be a part of something we do, whether it's the church itself or one of our schools or whatever, and then you can register for the oneplanetcommunity.com. So if you want to be part of that. And if you're already a part of it, come visit us. You know who you are. Our Tuesday service, which is tonight, starting next week, I'm going to mention this again, will now be on Wednesday nights. We are moving it to Wednesdays beginning next week. And hopefully that will open an opportunity for more people to join us. Wednesday's been typically a church night anyway, so let's get in the groove here. And we'll be doing on Wednesdays still at 7:30 p.m. Eastern, or whatever time it is for you, wherever you're at in the world. And I want to also reiterate that our new format will be after the welcome, 15-minute presentation by myself, another 15-minute presentation by either Dr. Vicki Hunter or a guest speaker, and then we'll get into our Enspirit open forum. We'll have our guided meditation and then just segue into that, and we're about to do that in just a moment here. Next week, before I forget, I want to thank those who made donations. We appreciate it. It helps keep the flame burning. Next week's program, it's a special night. Again, it's on Wednesday, March 18th, but it's a special night because we're going to be doing one of our 4 annual ceremonies. This is the rite of equinoctial equilibrium. It's like a personal snapshot. Where are you at? Where you been? Where are you going? And it's a time to just focus on you and your growth. So I hope you'll join us for that special night. It will be the first time we have done it on live video broadcast. We used to do it all the time on our radio program, but this is going to be nicer. Get the candle behind me. So, and if you're out in radio land or video land, I should say, grab a candle and have it ready if you want to get into that. And then next week, we'll also have a guest speaker, Tapping One's Power to Heal the Mind, Body, and Spirit by Dr. Jason M. Palancana. She will actually be here next week. I misspoke last week and said she'd be here this week, but I was wrong. Don't let that get out. I have this reputation to protect here. Okay, that's all the announcements that I have. It's time for our Enspirit open forum. Now, just to reiterate, we're going to start with a soul light meditation here in just a sec. We're going to get into that, and then we're going to segue right into it. Open up the mood here. If you want to share a message, an intuition, you can do that. If you're in the broadcast audience and you want an inner oracle card reading, you can do that. You can do that here too if you want an inner oracle card reading, and I'll be doing those. But it's a time for everyone to participate and be a part of this. And even if you're in the broadcast audience, if you have an impression or a message you want to share, you can do that. All we need is your first name, and then and mention it in the chat room, and Michael will let me know. Oh, yeah, I'll do that later. Let's do it. Let's do our soul light guided meditation. So we'll begin our nice music, and then we'll start. I want you to close your eyes and take a deep breath in through your nose. Hold on to it to the mental count of 3 and gently release it. And just relax. This is a time to open up, to be yourself, not worry about anything. Just breathe. Take another deep breath in. And hold on to it, and then just release it. Feels good to just breathe deliberately. And as you breathe in goodness, wholesomeness, positive energy. As you breathe out stress, negativity, worry, fears. Another deep breath, and I want you to imagine that beautiful ball of light just above your head. Your soul light represents your higher self. It's who you are, and it's there, and it's glowing bright because it's powerful, and it's connected to everything, everywhere. It's dialed in to collective consciousness. It's dialed into the Akashic record. It's dialed in, and it's connected to everything. I want you to see it there glowing and just marvel at how beautiful it is, because it's you. And I want you to pull it on down into the center of your body and see it in your mind's eye. See it filling you up with positive energy, with encouragement, with nurturing energy. And just feel it. As you see your body fill up with it, feel it moving in all parts of your body, from your head to your toes, from your fingertips to fingertips, fingertips to toe tips, all through your body. Just know that this energy is there anytime you want it. It's powerful, it's nurturing, and it's healing. But perhaps most of all, it will heal your spirit. Give yourself the encouraging word. Understand that you have everything you need right within you to accomplish anything you want. In this true state, there are no fears. There's nothing to be afraid of. You stand on your own 2 feet. You stand strong. You stand tall. And you are a perfect expression of yourself. Every day, you get better. You're better tomorrow than you were yesterday. You are perfectly yourself. No one can be more perfect at being you than you are. In your mind's eye, I want you to take a little bit of this energy and I want you to send it on out to those who might need it, those who are hurting. Perhaps someone's lost someone in death. Whatever the reason, send it out to those who need it. Send it out to the world if you don't have anybody in mind. And all it takes is a second and the deliberate intent to send it on out. And it will instantly go and be received. Continue to breathe, and I want you to open yourself up now to the leadings of your own inner spirit, your own higher self. In a moment, you'll be able to share your messages, your thoughts, your insights, if you wish, but you've got to be open to it, and you are open to you. All right. Allow that beautiful ball of light to take its normal position whenever you're ready. You can keep it there for the duration of the Enspirit open form if you wish, and it will automatically take its normal place. or you can let it go now, your choice. But in 1, we're going to start our open forum. In 2, you're feeling so much better, open. Number 3, eyes open and feeling energized, feeling positive, feeling good. Now we open this floor up to those who would like to make a comment, share an impression, a message. You can share a psychic impression if you wish. You can get the Inner Oracle card reading. And don't forget that the theme of tonight's program is awareness. And everything we've done tonight really is designed to help you to become more aware. All right, anyone care for anything, share anything, or you got somebody? Okay. Wants a card reading. Okay, so we have Zach, and I'm just going to do a 3-card spread for this one, and because it's easy and it's quick. Now remember, these cards are for you. So if I will focus on you, and I will pull a card at random. I will share the card, and I will share what it says in the guidebook about that. But it's for you. It's your message, and it means to you what it means to you. So that's important. All right. This first card that I'm going to pick is basically the current situation. And it will be up to you to determine how it fits. Here's the first card. It's a spirituality suit, number 26, energy signature. This is the current situation. For you, Zach, let me read what it says for 26 in the book, if I can open it. This will give a very succinct understanding of what this card means. And I have to use my glasses for this one because it's too small. All right, number 26, energy signature. This card is a call to be aware of energy signatures, which is the vibe a person puts out or the energy of a situation. Energy signatures are changed by increased awareness resulting from gaining more knowledge and wisdom of self. Review the present energy signature that you may be sending or that of a situation, individual, or relationship. Keep what is healthy, remove what is unhealthy. Remember, you cannot change others. You can only change yourself and your own energy signature. So that is number 26. That's the current situation. The next card that I'm going to pull is of the situation unfolding. You stay on this path. This is what's unfolding for you. Card is spirituality, suit again, number 24, and it's truth. Truth. Again, that's what it means to you. The guidebook says there are many ways to discover cosmic truth. It begins with knowing who you are and why you are who you are. This is your truth. Discovering cosmic truth involves further discovering the truths that are often concealed within a relationship or a life situation. Yet, the only truths kept secret are those we will not see. This is a time of deep introspection to intuitively gauge the way ahead. This card may indicate that there is truth in something or in a direction. So again, remember, this spread, this center card is the situation unfolding. This is where you're headed. Third card. I do this deliberately. The existential suit, card number 12. Spirit, cosmos, divine energy is the face value of the card, and I'll read the comment. Drawing this card indicates the evolving relationship you have with your own inner spirit or higher self within the context of the greater universe. You are growing your relationship with the cosmic consciousness. Continue to observe and appreciate the interconnectedness of all life forms within the fabric of life and the important role that you and they play. This third card is best possible outcome. So we had card 26 for current situation. The second card, number 24, was for the situation unfolding. The third card is best possible outcome. Number 12, spirit, cosmos, divine energy. You look within. And I hope that these cards got you thinking in a special way for you, an individual way. All right, anyone else care to share or get a... Okay, you have 4.
Mike would also like.
Okay. All right. I'm just going to do a quick shuffle on these as I focus on Mike. Incidentally, while I'm shuffling these, if you'd like your own deck of these cards, you can order it on metaphysicalhumanism.org. We're currently back ordered on them, but they should be coming in the next couple of weeks, so we'll get them out to you. So hopefully people have really liked them. So they're powerful if you do it. You got to get the hang of it. There's a certain rhythm to them, and it's kind of cool. I was impressed. Thank you, Zach, one of my students. All right, Mike. Okay, your first card is in the service to self and others, suit number 32, sympathy and empathy. You want to throw that one up on the screen, bud? I don't want to put these here, though. It's fine. Okay, number 32. Card number 32. This is the current situation. Sympathy, empathy. Number 32. And it says, mercy is compassion in action and fulfills a kind act of paying it forward. Sympathy, sensitivity for another's plight, and empathy, relating to another's plight, each requires a need, compassion, and action to fulfill a soul's need to explore, investigate, and educate. Always extend the benefit of the doubt until there's no longer a reason to do so. So this applies some current situation, sympathy or empathy. All right, let's pull another card here. All right, I'm just doing these at random, and I'm focusing on the person, wherever I'm drawn to. Oh, another service to self and others. It's interesting how that happens. Number 36, gratitude. This is basically the situation unfolding. That's the current. This is the situation unfolding. This is where you're going. Currently, where you're headed. Doesn't mean it can't be changed. Gratitude. Gratitude is the joy one feels in the heart when the mind awakens to the gifts of life, no matter how seemingly small or insignificant. The truest essence of love lives within the feeling of gratitude, desiring a connection with all life while giving freely without want for return. Gratitude is benevolence that wants to give forward. Take a compliment with graciousness and good manners when gratitude is extended. All right? It's gratitude. Third card. It needs a second one. This is life skills, number 44, attitude, disposition, best possible outcome. Number 44, attitude and disposition. Enthusiasm and or an agreeable disposition along with good manners assures individual happiness that inevitably influences others. Drawing this card may indicate a time to review a change in attitude regarding someone or something in your life. This can be positive or negative. Be proactive. Ask yourself, how hard can it be? A can-do attitude makes it happen. So, that's those three. You have a comment? Get you the mic. Pardon? You want a reading?
Yes.
Well, we can do that around here. Do you have more in the chat room? You got 3 more? Okay. We're going to do this a little quicker because I'm apparently slow at it. All right, let's take okay, we've got 4 waiting, so what I'm going to do is I'm not going to read the guide. I'm going to let you think about what it means. I'll try to briefly mention it. All right. Who's the next name? Tina. Tina. Okay. Tina. Connected to her. Just saw her today. Your first card is Balance and Order, number 8. It's under the Self-Completeness suit of the Life Leadership Paragon. Balance and Order. Briefly, Life Leadership Paragon, it needs to be balanced and ordered. When we bring balance and order to those elements of the Life Leadership Paragon, everything in our life does better. All right? Second card, number 42, Trust and Integrity. That's the next one. Kind of self-explanatory. Trust and integrity. And the third card for you, which is Best Possible Outcome, 12, Spirit, Cosmos, Divine Energy. We pulled that one a little bit ago for someone. Spirit, Cosmos, Divine Energy, Existential, your place in the universe. Hope that helps. I don't have a lot of time to explain them. Sorry, guys. What's the next one? Okay. Just mixing them up a bit. Okay, Shirley, present situation. Number 8, Balance and Order. Now, what are the odds of me pulling this one again out of 54 cards after shuffling them? Okay, Balance and Order. That's, again, current situation. It could mean you need balance and order, or you're doing good with balance and order. It's up to you to know. Put that on the top. Next card is number 10, Indomitable Power of the Human Spirit. We're powerful. We can do anything we want. So this is the situation that's unfolding for you, the direction you're going. And the best possible outcome for this one is, for Shirley, is number 43, Expediency. Be about it. Get on with it. If you're going to do it, then do it. If you're not, then quit fretting over it. Hopefully that helps. That was short and sweet. All right, how many more do we have, son? Okay. I'm just going to mix these up real quick. What was the first one? Alexandra. That's the next name? Okay, Alexandra. All right. Card number 28. Do no harm, do right. One of our principles of belief and one of our sacred obligations. This is the current situation. This can mean that you need to do no harm and do right, one or the other or both, or that's what you're doing. You're practicing this. All right, second card, which is going to be the situation unfolding, and that is number 12, Spirit, Cosmos, Divine Energy. This is the third time I've pulled this card. How does that happen? This is interesting. And for all those watching, what does that mean to you? Maybe this is a message for others as well. The Spirit, Cosmos, Divine Energy. And because it's come up 3 times, I'm going to read it one more time. If I have glasses. Drawing this card indicates the evolving relationship you have with your own inner spirit or higher self within the context of the greater universe. You are growing your relationship with the cosmic consciousness. Continue to observe and appreciate the interconnectedness of all life forms within the fabric of life and the important role that you and they play. And I think we need one more card, don't we, for her? So, number 17, Reinvention. That simply means that you're either in the process of reinventing yourself, but since this is the third card, best possible outcome, probably need to think about reinventing your attitudes, your self-belief, your self-concept. Okay, we're going to do one more from the chat room. What's the name? Tracy. Okay. Tracy. I'm zeroing in on Tracy. I'll really fall over if I draw that Cosmos card again. Wow. 10. Indomitable power of the human spirit. Just talked about that. We're powerful. That's the current situation. Means that you need it or you got it. All right. Second card. 16. 16, continuity of life. This simply means life after death, continuity of life. This could apply to you or to somebody that you know, somebody who's passed on. This could be, this is the situation unfolding. This means that we don't die. We have life after life. We move on. That's continuity of life. And the third card is number 39, education. This is the best possible outcome. And that means you might need to gain further education, which I think you're doing, but it could be also related to a specific area that you might need. So that's education. And I'm going to take just one more minute and do one more for an audience member here. This is for Phyllis. And I'm going to see if I can just do these a little bit. One more time. One more time for the cheap seats in the back, as my Tracy would say. And Michael's in the back. All right, Phyllis. Give it to me. This is wild card number 7. This is at the end of your list, buddy. This is hope. Hope. The energy at hand is outside the norm. This is a special card. It can modify other things. This is the situation, hope. You may need hope, you may have hope. It's for you to decide. That's hope. Okay. This is the next one's for the situation unfolding. Positive consciousness, number 13. This is simply having a positive attitude, positive spirit. Positive consciousness means you almost don't have to work at it. You're just positive. It could mean you need to be positive about a particular thing, or that you are positive about a particular thing, and that's a good thing for whatever you decide. The third card for you, Phyllis, is this one, continuity of life, 16. Any of those make sense to you? I don't know how I pull the same cards. I'm trying to go through all of them. But all right, that's all the time we have for this tonight. But next week, I know we've run a couple 3 minutes over, but next week, bring your questions, bring your impressions, something you might want to share, and you can also share an incident of doing right, paying it forward. I'd love to hear those. If you have a positive instance of doing it right, doing something right for someone or paying it forward, love to hear it too. Even those in the chat room can mention it. You can type a few words and let us know that you've done something. So we appreciate that. Again, next week is our special night. We are doing the rite of equinoctial equilibrium, our special ceremony, and also tapping one's power to heal the mind, body, and spirit with Dr. Jason M. Palancana. And she'll be our speaker. So, in the interest of time, that's all I got. Until next week, and thank you all for being here. I really do appreciate it. Until next week, listen, think, learn, grow, and live. Have a great week, everyone. Good night.